Let's set the scene. It's 2017, 2018, and this new, young, upcoming artist named Girl in Red starts putting out music. There's an old saying from the olden times used by lesbians to discuss between one another if they are indeed lesbians through code. That code was, "Are you a friend of Dorothy?" This explosion of this new, clearly lesbian artist, Girl in Red, back in 2017, 2018, made for the modern version of that phrase. Do you listen to Girl in Red? You could confirm if you listen to Girl in Red by, saying you listen to Girl in Red, posting a Girl in Red song, etc. Skip ahead to a few years, 2021 to be exact. Girl in Red starts talking in interviews and in shows about how none other than Taylor Allison Swift sends her letters with personal drawings and has, been mentoring her. And then when Girl in Red's debut album, If I Could Make It Go Quiet, came out in 2021, Taylor Swift posts on her Instagram story the album, praising it, saying that she listens to Girl in Red. Do what you will with that information. Hey YouTube, ValleyGirl5678 here, and it's time for another album review. Today we are going to be talking about this new Girl in Red album, I'm Doing It Again, Baby. This is the sophomore album from Marie, otherwise known as Girl in Red, Gen Z lesbian icon, as I mentioned, following her debut album in 2021, If I Could Make It Go Quiet, as I mentioned. That album received fairly mixed reviews, ranging from critiques on the mixing and overall production of the project to a rave review by Miss Taylor Swift herself, as I mentioned. Now, I talk a lot about the sophomore slump on this channel, mainly because it is a very frequently discussed phenomenon in the music discourse online community. Did this LP suffer the sophomore slump, or did it not? This one, unfortunately, did. Or has. Or, yeah, sophomore slump. The general theme of this album is a sort of fourth wall breaking attempt with multiple lyrics and moments on the album, as well as tracks in their entirety, such as I'm Back, Doing It Again, Baby, and 5 Stars, that either speak abrasively directly to the listener or are just songs literally about making an album or making another album. Now, I feel like Marie put herself in a tricky situation here, because if you're going to make this sort of postmodern adjacent thematic attempt, it's gotta be fire or it's gonna feel awkward. And that's unfortunately what has happened here. This failed attempt at making an album about making an album makes for a fairly uninspired and thematically and lyrically lazy and at best mid album. At this album's worst, we have Doing It Again, Baby, which just has some terrible mixing, production, vocal performances, and lyrics. At this album's best, we have New Love, which is really the only song on this album that sounds like a classic Girl in Red track. And I will add that I do appreciate that she's clearly playing with new sonic ideas on this album and isn't getting caught up in like what works or what is cool, but it is still unfortunately a hit or miss. Like the track Too Much is a hit. The song as a whole is a breath of fresh air in her entire discography, but especially on this album, as it has some clean vocals and production, lovely melodies, and satisfying song development, amongst a group of songs that mostly does not have those things. You Need Me Now feat Sabrina Carpenter is a solid pop rock track. Sabrina's feature is cute. I wouldn't say it's a must-have feature, and it's kind of funny because like right before Sabrina's verse on this track, Marie literally says like, what would be so cool if we got Sabrina on this track? And that's what the feature is. Like, that's all it is. We have tracks like Phantom Pains and A Night to Remember that definitely work and aren't skips, but they don't necessarily add much to the project as a whole, and they're certainly not like my favorite Girl in Red song. But then we have songs like Pick Me, which sounds like a Disney ballad. Her vocals are pretty good on this track, but that's kind of all the track has going for it. Like, it just really gives me Disney in all senses, from the melodies to the piano to the lyricism. And then we have Ugly Side, which is kind of an Arctic Monkeys meets Chemical Romance Girl in Red attempt. The track just continues to get more and more cliche as the song goes on, with the cherry on top of this of a little talking moment at the end of the song that really can't be described in any other way other than basic. It makes The End of Daylight by Taylor Swift seem like experimental. And then the closer of the album, 5 Stars, is in some ways sonically the most interesting track on this album, but the track is about being a musician and getting reviewed, which is like, I am in the review of this album. Lyrically, the track is quite cringeworthy and awkward. Like, it's not even the theme itself that makes it awkward, it's the way she went about writing a song about getting reviewed and like the business in general. As it's the closer on the album, it leaves you as the listener finishing off the album just as, if not more, confused than when you started it. So I'm just a little disappointed that after 3+ years of reflection and experience, this is the best Marie could come up with. I just don't believe that. She says it herself on 5 stars that she makes magnificent trash, and that is a perfect way to describe her discography up until this point. But I wouldn't call this magnificent trash. I'd call this bad songwriting. I'd also like to add that I am a huge believer that an artist does not need to suffer to make good art. Like, there's plenty of good art about being happy. So there's just really no excuse for this slump. And even the better moments that I mentioned are still quite lyrically boring. So I'm gonna give this album a 3. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe. Check out my YouTube short series, Song of the Week, that comes out every Friday or Saturday. Follow me on Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok, all linked below. And I'll see you in my next video, which will ironically or unironically be my reaction to the new Taylor Swift album. So I will see you then, and yeah, bye.